So Frida, thank you so much for making the time. I'm so excited to hear about Renee Materials. Can you tell me a little bit about what it is? What do you do?
Yeah, sure. So we are an online platform for reclaimed creative materials. So we make sure that what is left on one side is reused by the other sides. If you know the app Too Good to Go, you can imagine it like this, but just for materials.
Oh, that's amazing. And where do these materials come from? How do you source them, or how do they find you? And who are the users, the customers then of these materials
Yeah,
typically?
good question. So we started in London and work with London's businesses because they have leftovers in huge quantities from paper, wood, textile, and so on. And then we
Can you
know,
can you show me on your website? Is it possible just to kind of like give me a bit of a run through whilst you're kind of describing all these things? Because I had a look and there was a bit of there were there was glass there, bits of offcuts of fabric. I mean, just extraordinary. So who is then so normal companies are donating the stuff to you or selling it to you?
they are selling it through us. So, for example, all these laces we have now online, they're from a huge warehouse. For them, it was last season or whatsoever. They don't have clients anymore. So, what we are helping them to, rather than them having to send them to incinerators or landfills, that they can offer it on our platform, and then it's sold to creatives. So our
Wow. So this is preventing it going to incineration and obviously quite small volumes or big volumes. I mean, what kinds of, I mean, let's just say that I was a designer and I was looking for some dead stock lace for, I don't know, lingerie brand or something. I mean, could I find like a decent quantity here if I wanted to make, I don't know, 50 pieces or so?
Yeah. You can find anything from tiny quantities from the embroidery thread where you can buy just 4 or 5 to then for the lace you can order them up to 20 meters and more, definitely. So that's why also our customer base varies between small businesses who would buy a whole roll of fabric, but then also to individuals from students still in education of art and design, but also DIY people, just people who might work in corporate and enjoy their crochet project in the afternoon. They can use our platform and order their materials.
So, Frida, you said that you so these are advertised on here on the site. I mean, these are basically drop ships. So people will order these things and then they'll be sent directly to the customer. So is the company then making a bit of money to cover the cost and the trouble of sending these to
So
whoever's
our
making
business,
or design?
exactly, yeah. Our business model, we said, um, it's you call them second-hand materials or reclaimed materials, but actually they are of so high quality. It's not that we turn into a charity and just give them out. We want to help the companies to get value out of their valuable materials. So the companies sell it through us, they get a split, Renee gets a split, and the end user, the creators, they get such a good price. It's on average 50% cheaper than if they would buy a new, often much more cheaper, or way more cheap.
So just for companies that might be watching this video and or reading this interview, and let's just say that they've got, as many do, let's just say that they've got, a few rolls of fabric or they've got some other material sitting there. What is the split? Just so that we can excite them to get in touch with you.
Yeah. So the average split is 60-40. So the companies gets actually the bigger piece of the cake.
So
They
they
get
get
60.
60% and you get 40% for having advertised it on your website. That's
Exactly.
amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And if you wouldn't mind, tell me who are the kinds of customers? I mean, you mentioned that there are makers, that there are designers. Give me a typical kind of week for you. I mean, have you profiled your customers? Who uses the Renee Materials website?
Yeah, so we started with our pilot hub in Central St. Martin's. So, of course, from this time, we still have a very good connection to the students who study in UAL and they know of us and they would use our online service. But then, and maybe also from this time working in education, we know that there's so many educators, they facilitate workshops. So then universities or workshop facilitators come to us and buy something in bulk. We do have the smaller designers where you were using the example of someone making a lace collection.
Yeah.
They get in contact with us.
So Frida, if you don't mind, I mean, at the moment you've stopped the website where it is.
Yeah.
Is there a way for the user to select a certain quantity of fabric? Let's just say that, you know, I'm a designer, sorry, I'm a fashion student, and I'm trying to put together my final collection, and I know that I want, let's say, a minimum of 10 meters of fabric. Is there a way of me using the website to find 10 meters of fabric?
This is a very good point of view. So currently you can select by the material category, by the material provider, because maybe, for example, for fashion, Phoebe English is one of our providers. Maybe you are keen to use some of her fabrics.
Yeah.
And then you can select by price. We don't have currently a filter where you can buy, where you can select the quantity, because the quantity is also changing all the time.
Yes.
So most of our companies, for example, Autumn Down with the mixed of fabric, they have like every day they would put some textile aside, which would then go on our platform, and it's just restocking itself. There's always a little disclaimer that you can get in contact with us via email or the form. And then, for example, if you look for a bigger quantity, that we are pretty sure we can find you something. Most of it is by weight. So we want to, because what we do is weighing less on the planet, and by calculating this impact, for us, this is the most important number.
Okay, so kind of at a practical level, I would contact Renee Materials and I would say, you know, I'm a fashion student and I want 10 meters of fabric, or I'm a fashion brand and I'm actually looking for a really small quantity, maybe, you know, just 50, 100 meters of fabric, and you might be able to answer that. Is that right?
That is correct, exactly. But also, if you, for example, go on this lace, then here it's, for example, offered to you in meters. So then you could just select the 10 meters, or in the product description. Then it says if you require larger quantity, you can email this email address.
Awesome. So how much you discussed about the weight, you know, reducing, well, ensuring that waste is you know, finds a home, and hopefully a, you know, home that will love it and use it and treasure it. So how much waste has Renee Materials actually reduced or repurposed, if you like, helped companies? Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
9.8.
Cool.
And that could actually be updated this morning with the last order. We are at 9.9. So we are very, very close to the 10 tons mark.
Okay. And just, you know, for I guess simplicity's sake, I mean, 1 ton, what does that actually look like?
That is because we have such a variety of materials. That would be a huge pile, because there is sometimes light textile, fluffing, or very heavy small bits of metal. But in kangaroo speaking, it's, I think, 200 kangaroos and like I think 7 elephants or something.
Wow.
In terms of carbon, this is actually something interesting about Renee as well, and about reuse, is that we save CO2 emission twice, because we save CO2 by not sending it to landfill, by not putting it into an incinerator, but we save CO2 again because we avoid that this material had to be produced new, which of course we save the raw material, we save all the energy which goes into producing, for example, the paper and so on. So it's massive, the amount of carbon we can save with the method of reuse.
That is amazing. Yes, I hadn't really thought about those two carbon savings, which is really significant, isn't it? So you've got these regular users on your platforms, and I hear they're, you know, they're makers, they're designers, they're teachers, trainers, etc., etc. Wow. Do me a favor, can you show me some of the kind of the really unusual materials that you have on your website as well?
Yeah, sure. I can also show you then some what was made out of the materials,
Yeah,
because we do hear back from some of the creators that are then showing what they have been making out of the materials they got
I'd
from
love
us.
to see that. Yeah.
Yeah. But for example, one of the unusual materials, I would say, and if I would be a jewelry maker, I would get this my hands on this, are plastic samples, and they are from different London-based architecture offices. They get these as sample pieces for then, of course, ordering it in massive pieces for wall surfaces and so on. But if you look into details, they're beautiful colors. You could make beautiful jewelries out of it.
Oh, you could. It reminds me of collecting loads of washed up plastic on the beach and this amazing lampshade that one of my friends made out of it. It was just fabulous. And you could do the same, couldn't you, with this? It would just look
Exactly. Yeah,
amazing.
yeah, exactly. Yeah. The same we do have for metal, also sample pieces, but actually beautiful colors and shapes of materials.
So
Um,
are you going to show me what people actually make from your waste?
I
Have you
can
got a
show
gallery or
you.
something like that?
Yeah, one last product which I think is amazing, and I would like to reuse this is these paper confetti from the Royal Opera House. So for them, it was snow, but then after
Whoa,
every show, they put it all together, and we got a large box of this paper. And imagine someone making paper out of it, and
yeah.
if you're lucky, there's still some Royal Opera stage dust then sparkling in the paper you create out of it.
Amazing. What a lovely, lovely story together with that. Wow. So yeah,
Let me show you some of the projects made out of our materials.
so if you're talking to somebody in a company about the waste,
Mhm.
whose job is it usually to kind of, because I know, having, you know, worked and run different companies, you know, very often it's kind of like no one's responsibility, you know, to kind of, you know, dig through and then think about, you know, repurposing waste. It just sits there taking up space. Who are
Mhm.
the people within the companies that typically are linking up with you to send you know, send photographs and descriptions over, and then, you know, obviously fulfill these orders that are coming in from your customers?
Yeah. So depending how the company is structured in itself, but
Hmm.
quite a few companies now have a sustainable manager.
Hmm.
They are really just there for the companies overseeing the whole production line to do better. So they would go get in contact with us.
Their
For
sustainability manager,
exactly.
right?
For others, it's really because someone who works in their workshop really by heart wants that this material is not thrown away, and then they get in contact with us. And as soon as they know more from us, they would then talk to their manager. And then for the order packing, the ideal is that they already have a system set up where they send their normal products to the customers. And because we don't want to add to their workload, our product would then just be added to this
So
same
they
site.
basically fulfill the orders then as part of their normal services. Can you
Exactly.
move the image down a bit so I can see what this is that's been produced? It's, oh
Yeah,
wow.
exactly. So these were all leftover lace uh,
Hmm.
from Phoebe English, and this talented it was a student project, but this talented designer turned it into uh, yeah, these dresses, and really also played with the story with the bin bag in the
Yeah,
photo.
yeah, amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, do you get questions also from some of your customers saying, "Oh, you know, have you got more of this kind of waste, or when will you be getting this kind of stuff in?" Do you get those kinds of requests as well?
Exactly, we do get many emails where
Mm,
people ask for materials, and this is good because often or like some of the materials we know they're floating around in London. They might
Yeah.
not be listed on our platform, so it's always worth to check in. And then, like, yeah, most of the time, really, we are able to find a match for them. So,
Yeah,
for example,
I love this hybrid of like the creative and the circular economy kind of coming together like this. It's just great, isn't it?
yeah, and I think by hunting the right materials for the project, it's if you want to reuse, it's great if you are not too stiff on one kind of materials, because if someone asks for a very specific material, it is more difficult to find a match. But if someone is more, they want to be inspired by the material, that is beautiful, because then they order something and they really then play with the shapes that was given to them, or with the color. The same with, actually, we now have a physical hub in Hackney Wick. And especially for those who don't know yet exactly what product they want, they can just come to the hub and get inspired by what is available.
So people can come and visit you at Hackney Wick. Tell me a bit about where it is and what times it's open.
Yeah, so on our website, there's one, if you use the drop down, there's locations and opening times.
Yeah.
And then you see the opening times for our hub in Drawbridge Garden. You already see that we will be soon in Shepherd's Bush. And of course, the online hub, which is open 24/7.
Amazing.
The hub in Hackney Wick is really very close to the station. So you get off, it's a 5 minutes walk, and you're there.
And that's open Friday to Sunday, 10:30 until 4 every day. Amazing.
Yeah.
And so you can go there, you can see these materials, so you can just buy them there and then and take some of them home.
Exactly. Yeah.
Amazing.
All measured by weight.
And this is how we follow you. So you can go on Instagram, we can find you there on Instagram.
Exactly.
Link into your newsletter, which is what I did. Just so excited to find you, to be honest. So tell me a little bit, what are your dreams for the future? I mean, here we are, at this point where, we have to rapidly reduce our extraction of natural resources. And but this is a really, really fun way, actually, of being creative and being inspired by what already exists. What's your vision for the business and the organization?
Well, the vision for the world, it would be a world without wasted materials. And with Renee, we want to be part of that solution, of this path. For Renee as a company, we started in London, but we want to be UK wide and then go to Europe. We go city by city because we want to keep the distances between where the material is left over and where it is reused very short. But so the next step for
Frida, if that's the case, if somebody's maybe, in Manchester or they're in Glasgow or Aberdeen and they're like, oh, this is so exciting, I really want to do exactly what they're doing at Renee Materials, but in my city, can they contact you then? Can they then come and work, do you offer a kind of advisory service so that they can help to get started?
Or actually, our plan is, as soon as we have the needed funding, we develop an app. And with this app, it's very, very easy to move to other cities and offer our service there. We are very keen to find ambassadors in different cities, because who knows the community better than the people who live in that community?
In that locality, absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I think anyone who's listening to this and feels, that this is something that they would that maybe they're already doing it in some small way, but wants to get in touch and collaborate with you, they really must. Um, Listen, thank you so much for running me through what you do. It's just so exciting. I'm a massive fan. And thanks for taking the time out this morning to tell me all about Renee.
Thank you for inviting us. Thank you for reaching out.